Okay, so now, so you should have just finished your 8 alternations between a double crochet and a popcorn stitch. So you have to make sure that those popcorns are sticking out the same way as that row, which meant that we needed to go in opposite direction to make the popcorn pop. I didn't mean a pun there, excuse me. So anyway, we are now going to be skipping a stitch and then doing a double crochet popcorn for 12 stitches. But what I like to do, this is kind of a personal thing, but I like to do, instead of skipping the stitch we skipped on the first row, I like to do my popcorn stitches in that, because it has a little more support and it also kind of makes it tighten up faster. So what I do is I actually skip the first 2 and then do a popcorn stitch in that next gap, and then I'll just make up for that at the end of these stitches. So what we're going to do is we're going to skip a stitch, and then we do our popcorn stitch. So there's a skip, popcorn stitch. I like to skip over those big ones, and then doing my big work in the tiny holes makes it so that it sucks in a little bit. So anyway, now we've done 4, skip, popcorn, skip, popcorn. We're going to skip again in the popcorn stitch, and we're going to do this for 12 full stitches. So there should be a total of 6 popcorn stitches that you're working. So there's 3, skip a stitch, popcorn stitch in the next gap. There's 4. And we're going to do the 5th popcorn, which should equal stitch 10. And then we're going to do one more, and this last one, because I skipped 2 at the beginning, I end up right here in between these. So there's a stitch there already, but I'm just going to go in between them like I've been doing already. Do a popcorn in that stitch, and that should be 12. So we're going to go back and count. We have, look for your very first skip, so it's right there, and then it's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, because of all the stitches you skipped in the middle. And then to start doing you're going to repeat back the alternations between the 8 stitches with a double crochet and a double crochet popcorn. So because I skipped 2 stitches in the beginning, I'm going to go into the same stitch again, right on top of that regular double. I'm going to do a double crochet again, and then I'm going to do a popcorn stitch in the next stitch. Now sometimes your popcorns will line up on top of each other, sometimes they won't. That really doesn't matter. It's just one of those things. I mean, if you like it better that way, go ahead and do it that way. And you can work a popcorn stitch first if you want instead of the regular stitch, but it's all up to you. It's a pretty versatile pattern, like I said. And that's another thing with this pattern. It's nice because you kind of do the same thing on one side, and then you do skips in the center, and then you repeat back the same thing on the other side. So once you've done it a few times, it'll all come pretty natural. You'll remember all the different repeats that you have to do. It's a little intimidating at first, but you'll learn it pretty quick. Okay, so I think I have one more popcorn to do, and then I should have all the things in the 8 stitches done. So then you can go back and double check. It should look like this on the other side. Remember, find your first double. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you're going to repeat again with your 5 single crochets at the end. And say you don't end up with your 5 single crochets at the end, maybe you have 6 you should do as double crochets. You can always just skip one and keep going, and it's not really going to affect your rows in the future. You'll just have to remember you missed one the time before, so your numbers might be a little off, but if you're close, you're going to be fine. So anyway, on this 3rd row, when you do the 5 singles, you're going to do 2 single crochets, chain 1, skip a stitch, and then do 2 more, and that's going to leave you with your buttonhole on the other side. So now what we're going to do is chain 2, and this is going to put us with our double crochets here in the next row. And we're going to do 5 double crochets. We're turning and going back. We're doing 5 double crochets across the 5 in the row before. And this, whenever I do doubles on these end parts, it's just to kind of help thicken up that end sideburn a little bit. So we do 5, and now we're going to do 6 alternations in the next 6 stitches, which means you do a double crochet again. Then you're going to do a popcorn stitch. I am losing all control over here. I'll do a popcorn stitch. And remember, now that the popcorns are facing us, we're going to go the opposite way and go back. Grab the loop, pull it through. Then we're going to do it again. Do that set 2 more times. So a double crochet popcorn, and one more time. Ooh, Don't look at my yarn, it's such a mess. Double crochet, whoopsie, and a double crochet popcorn again. Okay. Now we are going to alternate between a skip. Oh great. Just what you need is to see me undoing a knot all day long, but I guess you all know what this is like, right? Okay, so what we're going to do is alternate between a skip and a double crochet popcorn stitch for 10 stitches instead of the 12. And these are a little easier to count because they all just look like normal stitches. So you're going to skip the first one, go in the second one, and like I said before, it's kind of nice to have a little bit of support underneath of your popcorn stitches. So it might be nice when you go to grab a stitch. So these might look a little deceptive, but see that's that little bump. That is from this popcorn stitch underneath. So you need to be sure you don't count that. Skip this next big stitch and go in the next one. It seems like they're big stitches, but that's okay. That's the only way the beard shrinks in. So if it looks big, it's alright. There's going to be a little bit of gaps underneath, but once it's tightened up, you're not going to be able to tell as much. Oh, please. Okay, so we're going to look back and count how many we have. There's the double one, so that's not the one we're looking for. We skip first, and then 2, 3, 4, and we're going to do this for 10 stitches. So we skip 5, then work this in 6, and skip, and then do 7, this is 8, and then skip 9 again, and work it in 10. And then, like I said before, we're going to repeat back. Oh, I think that's what I forgot to mention earlier. It's nice to have a little support, so sometimes when you go in, instead of just grabbing this, you can grab like the something underneath just so it's got a little more support. That's just personal preference again. It's just something you can think about if you are looking like you've got a lot of big loops and holes when you pull up a stitch like that. So now we have our 10. Go back and count. You've got your skip, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now you should have about 6 stitches left back to your 5, so we're good. So we do an alternation between a double crochet and a double crochet popcorn stitch for 6 stitches. So it should be looking like that. Then for 3 we're going to do a double, 4 we're going to do a popcorn stitch, and then 5 we're going to do a double, and 6 we're going to do a popcorn stitch. And then, just like we did in the beginning, we're going to repeat back with our 5 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so your beard should be looking almost done. Looks like that on the top. Looks like this on the side. We've got 5 doubles, all your popcorns, all your skips right there. So it's starting to curve in very nice, front of the chin. The skips and the alternations right here, and then the doubles. So now we only have one more row. Let's check on my time. We're doing good. We're going to chain 1, turn around, back again, and we're going to do 5 singles again, just like normal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we're going to do alternations between a double crochet and a double crochet popcorn for 5 stitches. It's an odd number, and it might seem different compared to the rest of the pattern, but it's not a big deal. You just alternate between things until your number's done. So there's a double crochet popcorn, double crochet popcorn, and then we're going to end on a double crochet because it's an odd number, but that it's not a big deal. It's okay. So double popcorn, double, and we're okay. So now we're going to skip, and we're going to alternate between a skip and a double crochet popcorn for 7 stitches. Another weird number, but it's alright. So we're going to skip the next stitch, and in the second one we're going to do a double crochet popcorn. In these ones you want to kind of do them just a tiny bit looser because they're the very last tightening row, and you don't want to make sure it's not too tight. You want to make sure it's big and covers the bottom. So skip 1, do a double crochet, skip 1, do another double crochet, just do it a little bit looser. If you're doing this for a smaller kid, you might consider using an eye hook or just crocheting generally a little bit tighter. But it seems like this beard is pretty versatile and fits a lot of kids at different ages. And then We're going to look back. We have our 5 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so we have one more skip to make, which is this stitch, and then we're going to go in the next stitch and do our 5 alternations between a double and a double crochet popcorn. So we have 1, and then this popcorn stitch is 2. Remember, I'm pointing the popcorns out this way, so I have to come in from behind to get them to go out. So do our double crochet, we do our popcorn in the next stitch, 1, 2, 3, come in this way so the popcorn pops out, and then one more double, and that should leave us with the 5 single crochets left, so we're right on track. So we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you break off your yarn. When I do my ends, I like to pretend like I'm chaining twice. Pull it tight and just kind of grab those knots and pull it down. That gives it a really firm finish. It's kind of a knot, but if you weave it in, it's not all that noticeable. Anyway, it should look like this. Nice curvature in the front, really natural. It curves nice in the back. It doesn't go too far up. It's got a little bit of holes in it, but it's nothing that's not gonna. It'll for sure keep them warm. And then here's your little buttonholes, and it looks great. You've got your other end is woven in, so you can just weave this end in, and you're good to go. Thanks for watching, and thanks for purchasing the pattern.